Ladies and gentlemen, it is Valentine's Day. Which means my special guest is my lovely wife, Alexis Wheeler.
Hi.
Yep. We are now an old religious preacher, the Reverend and Mrs. Wheeler's podcast.
Oh boy.
And it's fun. We live in a tiny little church house with a goat named Black Phillip, who tells us that we could live deliciously if only we traded our life into Satan. And we're like, listen, goat face, we already did. And all we got is a nice little house in Minneapolis. Where is our flying broom? I don't know. Today's episode is all about romance. And not the romantic languages, per se.
No.
Like
Otherwise
Italian,
I would be speaking
French,
Portuguese.
And Portuguese.
But I can only swear in Portuguese. The most
Yeah, you learn
important
Spanish.
words.
Oh, by the way, my coworker I'm fond of named Spencer was talking about, he actually dared say the other day, and I had to like pipe up because of you and your family, where he was just like, Spanish and Portuguese are kind of like similar. And I'm like, I told him, and Tony, who is a Mexican man who works there, both of us agreed on this, and we agree on many things because Tony is cool.
Yeah.
But that, like, he's like, no, my friend, it's not. You can't. If you speak Portuguese to me, I don't. People speak. I don't know what the fuck you're saying. And Spencer's like, yeah, right. You're just like, because Tony likes to make things up, and he does, and I appreciate that. But he was like, hey. Like, you're pulling my leg, you know that they're pretty similar and whatever. And I'm like, actually, no, my father-in-law is Portuguese. And he's just like, I had to learn Spanish, like, separately. Like, you can't just go like, I know Brazilian Portuguese and I'm going to move to Spain and just talk to somebody. It's like, yo.
They'll be offended.
A, they'll be offended, but B, they probably won't know what you're talking about. They'll be like, what?
No.
Like, it's not the same.
No.
So as much as it's like, oh, John Wheeler is captain, like, the 6 foot tall, cis white man in a suit, yes. But it turns out I am aware of these global issues and linguistic and cultural differences that kind of are actual real things. Whereas some people who might on paper seem to be a touch more, they might check a few more boxes and they might kind of be like, oh, I'm like, yeah, no, this doesn't work like that. And I know I'm not just being difficult. I'm not being a podcast host in the vein of Joe Rogan. I do know from experience that it's like, yeah, they're not really the same.
That's true.
They're really not. Portuguese is a different language.
I speak more Spanish than I can speak Portuguese at this moment.
Which is an embarrassment to you and your family. And you need to learn.
But then Dad just tells the rest of the people, like, why didn't you, they always tell him, why didn't you teach her? Like, she knows the important ones. She knows how to swear.
Yeah, she knows how to tell everyone to go fuck themselves because,
I do.
Her father escaped from Portugal when it was, like, scary to live there. Whereas now it's where everyone wants to move in all of Europe, which, is wild. But, back when it was, like, terrifying in the 70s, he moved to Hoboken, or where in New Jersey exactly?
Newark,
New Jersey, which, like, right now is scary. And in the 70s was, like, a full-blown Ninja Turtles movie. Like,
I learned to own, like, my street cred from going to trips to see my grandma in Newark, New Jersey.
And it's where you met the cake boss.
I never met.
No, I know you met. I was really hoping you would just roll with that.
I never met the cake boss.
But that is where. No, Newark is where he is, right?
He's in Hoboken.
Oh, he is in Hoboken. Oh, that's where I heard about. Well, I learned about Hoboken from. There was a punk band called Apocalypse Hoboken. That was from New Jersey.
They ate a lot of cake.
Maybe. I think they might have predated Buddy's business by like a decade or two. But
sure?
I don't know how long Cake Boss has been in business. I know how long his show has been around.
How long Hog Boss has been?
Hog Boss?
Yeah.
Who's that?
Boss Hog.
Well, that's no. I thought you meant like a hog-nosed breeder that lives in New Jersey.
No, but that would be cool.
Yeah, the old Hog Boss. Maybe that could be us. We'll start a hog-nosed snake breeding business and be like, welcome to the house of Hog Boss.
Do that. This is Hog Boss. It's like hogwash, Hog Boss.
Yeah, Hog Boss. That's a bunch of Hog Boss, they'd say.
Yeah.
Right. Although Alexis is referencing one of my top 10 Always Sunny episodes where they try to beat Wade Boggs, who's very much alive.
Boss Hog.
Yeah, and D keeps thinking it's Boss Hog, who is the weird little fat white guy in a white suit and hat that runs Hazard County schemes.
Yeah.
And the Dukes of Hazzards are always trying to stop him. Those Duke boys.
Duke boys.
And Daisy Duke, they're always trying to foil all of my Hazard County schemes, D.
Since the day they was born.
Yeah, and she's like, well, what do you say, boss? My boss doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about when I say that to him. Like, well, what do you say, boss? It's like, hello. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, but yeah, we'll just watch. You know what? One of these days we'll all get together and watch a Dukes of Hazzard marathon. And this whole thing.
I used to watch Dukes of Hazzard all the time. I grew up loving it.
I had a Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox. That's what I like. Kept a big orange lunchbox with a big ass Dimebag Daryl fucking Southern Stars and Bars thing. I mean, like. It had that, and then it had, like, cars on fire jumping over shit. Like, but, I mean, generally speaking, you could, like, hold the thing up. Yeah. Well, it's one of the...
generally is...
Yeah, like,
Someone's,
Dimebag Darrell's guitar didn't weird me out to the level that it probably should have. The guitar player from Pantera who got shot in the face at that venue I was at.
Someone's pager did that song, and I was like, I don't know if you can still do that.
Well, you know, I think that's... like... Look, if your Southern weirdness is solely based off the Dukes of Hazzard, right? Like, you live up here, and you're not like, it's part of our heritage to own other people. It's not our fault that that's just the way it is and that that's okay. Yeah, that's fucked. But if you're like, I don't know shit about shit, but I had a Smurfs lunchbox, and I had a bunch of Hot Wheels, and I kept my Smurfs toys in my Smurfs lunchbox, and my Hot Wheels in my Dukes of Hazzard lunchbox, and I know that, like, you know, that's the sound their horn made, and it's funny to... Yeah, it's funny to push the horn and make that button, but, like, you know... I don't even know if the characters from Dukes of Hazzard necessarily were like, well, the thing about it is states' rights. It's like, listen, those Duke boys, they didn't mean no harm. It says so right in the fucking theme song.
They did a remake, though, with Johnny Knox.
They did, and I never saw that.
I did. And,
was it Jessica Simpson?
Jessica Simpson.
Yeah, she
Johnny
was Daisy Duke.
What's his face? The guy from all those Fuck Me shows.
What are the Fuck Me shows? Because I need one of those.
Stifler.
Oh, like when Stifler's mom?
I think.
Has got it going on?
That guy.
How is he in Fuck Me shows? Are you talking about American Pie?
Yeah.
Like those movies? That's what they did, the Fuck Me shows?
It was all about fucking.
What is that Fuck Me show? I thought you were talking about like MTV's Undressed from the 90s,
no,
which
it was
Christina Hendricks was in an episode of, and we should really find that shit on the internet.
And then, who's the white Snoop Dogg?
Oh, Willie Nelson.
Yes, he was in it.
He does that. Do you like how I knew exactly who you meant?
Yeah.
The white Snoop Dogg. Willie Nelson.
Yep.
No, they have braids. They smoke a lot of weed. I don't know. What's the difference?
But
they're thin men. They are. They have very pronounced facial features. Jawbones.
Oh, I just meant the amount of weed.
No, but the amount of weed, the similarity between Willie Nelson and Snoop Dogg goes beyond that, I think. Willie Nelson had that favorite thing where he was on, I don't know, I think it was like Bill Maher or something like that.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
He was on Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Weed rules.
Yeah, they weren't...
Wait.
Like, you do that, and then you're like, but I'm not going to smoke it on camera because...
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, we could say it's CBD. Or it's good old-fashioned black tar heroin, whatever. But the thing is that, like...
That's molasses.
Yeah.
Molasses cookies.
Molasses cookies.
Molasses is big.
They're heart-shaped.
What?
But
Anyway.
Willie Nelson had a fun story about how I think he was on some talk show and they were like talking about marijuana laws and whatever, and they were like, it's basically harmless. And then Willie Nelson pipes up, he's like, I don't know if it's harmless. And they're like, really? You're going to chime in on this? And he's like, a friend of mine had a farm, and he was had a 10-pound bale bale of cannabis plants, and he pulled it off of the top ledge of the farm or out of the barn, whatever, and it fell on him, and he did get injured. So it's not as harmless as you say. Mm-hmm. And then he was just like, "Hi," it was funny.
Hi, my name is.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Are you Willie Nelson?
How are you?
I know I'm very squinty right now, but I think I'm just tired and drunk.
I mean.
Yeah, I had to drive around in the.
That was a CBD.
In the rain. What?
CBD we're talking about.
No, I did have a CBD cigarette, but yeah, I was gonna go to therapy today, which occasionally is on Tuesdays, which seems to be when this podcast normally gets filmed. And I don't know, like, I feel like there'll be like a news story later, but I typically it's just like, works pretty fast and loose with me. It's like, oh, I gotta dip out because I gotta go to therapy. I give myself plenty of time. Oftentimes I even get into the area where my therapist is a little early, so I'm like, well, I'll swing into Cub, blah, blah, blah. Today I was like trying to go like straight there, and it's just, so it's like raining out, right? It's raining a lot. Sure. Like, it's raining. Water is
redlining
coming from the sky, and like it, in winter that doesn't always happen, but it wasn't like, it was like 41 degrees. It wasn't like freezing over into sliding. It wasn't doing anything weird. But I've never experienced, I felt like I was, like, everywhere I went, in all of Minneapolis in every direction, was like, drive, on the busiest day of the state fair, you're like trying to drive and actually park close enough to walk or whatever, like, but everywhere. Like, every stoplight that I hit, I was like, why? Like, I had like long enough to sit and send a few text messages. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I saw like one accident. And, okay, I get it, and it was on an exit, that I wasn't going to. It's like, it wasn't even really blocking the road. And I've seen some accidents that, like, back when I was on tour, there was, I know there's, like, a poison death cloud floating over Ohio because of capitalism right now. And, that's wild, but we were driving through Ohio once, and some of the worst traffic that we were ever in. Like, why is this, like, this 4-lane highway is backed up? Like, what is happening? And it turned out some, like, semi had jackknifed and was completely, like, a Tetris, like, perpendicular across four, like, everyone just had to, like, go, all 4 lanes bottlenecked to just go in the shoulder to, like, get around this thing. And we, like, finally, we got there, and then we got moving or whatever, but it tacked on an extra, like, 6 hours behind schedule or whatever. Like, don't be in a band. I realized a little while ago, and honestly, I think just recently I'm able to articulate this, where it was an episode of Rick and Morty, but I've heard this before. I think it was the "Show Me What You Got" episode.
Show me
and
what you got.
Rick talked about how only people who are relaxed can make good music, but. Even if you're a little rich fuckhead kid that gets to be in a famous band, because you're just like, oh, I just like all the way up into my late 20s, my rent's paid, and they bought us some studio time, and they helped us buy onto this tour, and the $100,000 loan to make this band happen came from my parents, and they're just gonna let it go, because to them it's like, worth an angry brow-furrowing comfort, but it's not life-ending, it's not beyond them. They're like, well, after this, the next few $100,000 they give you better be for school. And you're like, okay. You get to be the little fuck that gets to do that. Even if you get to do that, all of that stuff you're doing is still very stressful. You're still using like a GPS on a phone, but you're out of where the phone goes, and you're in Chicago, and you drove from the West Coast, and the thing's just spinning around. You don't know where you're supposed to be going. There's nowhere to park. There's people honking at you. Like, well, where are we going to stay tonight? I don't know. Like, whatever. It's incredibly stressful. So it's like good music is not made by people who are stressed out beyond their capacity. And I mean, from people like me and the people I've worked with, yeah. Like, I still made brilliant music during all that stuff, which means, like, I'm a once-in-a-lifetime creative god. But the problem is again, capitalism and all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, all right, but, like, you're too stressed out from all the shit of actually doing this to do it right. And, and I had nothing and no support and no help from anybody. And so it's like, well, and even the kids that do, it's stressful for them. They get to get famous, hooray. good for them. But like, it's all just impossible. And you're like, well, why do musicians, like famous or failing or whatever, why do they all do so many drugs? And people are like, well, drugs don't really raise your creativity. They don't actually whatever. It's like, it turns out maybe if you actually have your head together, you're probably being more creative. No, it's because good music comes from people who are relaxed. And even if you have all the money and help in the world, it's pretty stressful. And even if you're a real genius who's going to burn out in a blaze of glory trying to get famous, like, it's extraordinarily stressful. But it's like, all these guys, like, why are they on heroin? It's like, well, because you can be relaxed when your life is falling apart when you're on heroin. That's the thing. So you end up making a beautiful jazz record, or you make the Flaming Lips, or something. You put on those leather pants and you just make it happen. I was like, oh, that's why everyone's on that. And it's like, listen, drugs are great, but I just can't do that many drugs.
Listen, Linda.
And that's why I had to kind of bow out eventually, where I'm like, I don't know if I can get deep enough into heroin to relax during this nightmare that making this thing work is, particularly on the end of the spectrum with zero money and support, who is going to fail. Whatever. But yeah, I kind of figured that out. And I just wanted to share that. I was like driving home the other day and I'm like, oh yeah, you can't. It's the one thing that gets rid of the unhuman level of shit. Like, you think that you have a job and you're stressed out. And he's like, well, the kids and I got to drive. And the only way to make enough money is to be the manager of this store. And it's like, I can't be the manager, but we got to eat. And it's like, that's stressful. Trying to like hang your whole life on being in a band when you're not from some family that's like old money is like, there's nothing worse than that. And it's like, okay, just imagine your struggle, whoever you are. Just whoever you are. It's like times 100 at best to get anywhere in music. And it's like, well, try to do that without heroin. Yeah, no, and I did it without heroin, and that's why it fell apart for me. Yeah. So that is a thing. Like, I just could not do/afford enough heroin to get relaxed enough to still make good music while like people are honking at me to park like a van and trailer in a no parking zone in the middle of New York or whatever. And, but some people take the easy route and they write romance novels. And since it's Valentine's Day, and look, I don't want to Meredith's not here to scream at me and go, hey, let's get to the point. So I'll get to it myself. And
that's cute.
What is that? Yeah, it's like MySpace right on the computer where MySpace used to be.
This is my space.
Did you ever use
That's your space. This is my space.
Did your generation use MySpace on a phone?
No. Yeah. No.
Did it get that far by then?
No.
Yeah.
I only did computer.
Okay. It was I think that's the thing that made MySpace nice, is that you at least had to be on a computer. You had to sit down, then your dad's chair that he farted in all day, like after work, and be like, it's time to use. You probably had your own laptop.
I had a desk because my parents didn't want to know what I was doing.
And that's fair.
You don't know how horny those penguins were.
Very is the answer.
And someone's always sitting there like, touch my penguin for dick pics, and then we're like, I don't know what those are.
And you're like, touch my penguin through the fence, you fucker.
Yeah, and then I go, squeak!
Yeah.
I don't know what a penguin sound.
They make bad noises and worse smells, but...
Oh, yeah, their ass is just shooting liquid.
Yeah, they are the fish liquid fart box poop blast machine of the world, and people still think they want them as pets, but they'll peck your eyes out and then shit
friendly.
In your eye holes. Yeah. Oh. No, yeah, penguins are one of the biggest... Yeah, birds are the worst pet anyway, but like...
No, like the scary show.
Oh, right.
Birds! The penguins!
Like the loons. They come and peck you. That Will Muckboy, Will Robinson was an actor in. We need to watch that, by the way. We should review that.
Oh, yeah.
The Loon.
We should review this.
No, we will, but let me just say there's this movie called Loon. Yet another thing I heard about at work. And then saw like the thing, and it's like Will Robinson was in it. And then I asked Jake, and Jake was like, "Yeah, Will was telling me kind of about that." And I'm like, oh, "That's wild." But and then now we're gonna make a bunch of cracked meth pipes with Loon on it, which is still happening, and I love that so much. No, you don't need to knee me under the table about it. That's like publicly like the business plan. It's gonna be wonderful. Like, I'm so on board. I love spite as a motivator for success. Like, it is just like my favorite reason to do anything.
Chef kiss.
Yeah. It's like, why are we doing this? It's like, because fuck those guys. I'm like, I am so on board. Now that I know that that's the reason. Like, it just touches my heart. So, but we'll review that another day. Because before we do that, I probably should actually watch it. That's like a big thing. But
I did that for, what's it called? Willow.
But we were reviewing several movies, and mostly that was about antagonizing Bill, which is funny. It's like, you're like, I hated it so much I didn't even watch it. And he's like, you didn't even watch it? You can't review the thing. And I'm like, shut up. I didn't watch it again. I just remember it from when I was 11. And like, That's what we're going to do. That's fair. That's good. I just decide what's right, and that is what's right. So, yeah. Yep.
Gavel?
Gavel. Gavin.
Wait. DeGraw.
Gavin McGavel. Gavin Lonsdale. What is his name? From Bush. I don't know. He used to be married to Gwen Stefani, but she dumped his ass when she got pop star famous, and that's the right thing to do. So Alexis has discussed. So, like, now that we're at the 20-minute mark, which I'm going to pretend I planned, we're going to get in. See, normally this podcast is a podcast, and I have a podcast co-host who's Meredith, who isn't my wife, which I think some people get confused. This is my real wife, Alexis, and it's Valentine's Day, and we're going to review a romance novel or three, and the first one by Lola Faust, which is super not a made-up romance novel. Nom de plume.
Sure it's a dude.
Oh, yes, because dudes like...
Because the way that those books sounds...
Dudes are horny, and dudes like dinosaurs.
I read it to my
and
coworker,
dudes can't write books.
And we're, like, pretty sure they don't know how things work in this book. So she's like, it's totally written by a dude.
Yeah, it's kind of like when the Fight Club author would write, and he turned out to be very, very gay, to the point where he's never even dabbled otherwise. And he would write heterosexual sex scenes, and they'd be kind of like, yeah, are you sure this is how it works? And it's like, it turns out, oh, he doesn't know.
I want to show them the artwork.
Okay, so wait. So we're going to review some fantasy novels, books, short books for
Dinosaur erotica.
Teen readers. It's dinosaur
Not
erotica.
for teens. Don't show your teens.
Show your teens.
Don't
As
show
long as
your
you're 13 and under, this is great.
Ew.
And or over, I'm sorry, or whichever. Who cares? So I've only heard a little bit about these books, and I think the fun of this will be me reacting to, it's like when you watch a YouTube video and you're like, two hip-hop black guys react to Tommy the Cat by Primus, and you're like, why would I watch this? And he's like, and they're just like, bruh. He's like, and they're like, what the fuck is even happening here? And I'm like, I wish I could go back to feeling like how those guys feel right now, which is how I felt when I was 12 when I did first see that, and they're giving that to me, and that's a gift. But I am that guy, and if the wet, hot Allosaurus summer, show the camera, please.
Okay.
If wet, hot,
oh God,
it'll pull it back. There we go. Yep. Wet, hot Allosaurus summer is your Primus. I am your hip hop black guy reacting to it on YouTube. And that is, that's the circle of life. We learn from each other, and we innovate. And we move forward, and that's the beautiful thing.
So, you want to read the little...
Please.
front?
All right, so Wet Hot Allosaurus Summer by Lola Faust, which is the realest name ever, not made up by a 5th grade dude. And it says...
start with that one.
Hot! All caps. H-O-T, all caps. Dinosaur action the way you like it, which is interesting, because who is that, and... do you like it like that? And if you're listening to this, like and subscribe and leave a comment in the YouTube and on the YouTube page or on Spotify and tell me what kind of hot dinosaur action you like.
Oh my God.
Anyway, though, but there's a little tagline there. First of all, we showed you the picture of that Allosaurus putting his weird little dinosaur wiener into her possibly vagina or
you don't know.
Better. But she was a country girl looking for excitement. He was an apex predator theropod. And it doesn't go on. It just says that. So then you have to actually read the book, and that's
it
the
was
thing.
copyrighted this year.
I bet it was, and I hope the copyright company that facilitated that is proud of the work that they're doing.
Okay.
But here's the thing. So at one point, the freezing, the heavy rain, the plain old normal wet rain that is not like Noah's Ark, was not snow, was not 80 feet of snow, whatever, made traffic to the point where I had to literally skip a thing I would normally do today that wasn't even that far away from my house after work. And then our friend Meredith, who, understandably also was like, traffic is so bad we can't do this. I don't understand what's happening. Maybe it's the end times. Hopefully it's the end times. Whatever. The government's been shooting down a lot of UFOs that are not real UFOs.
They're condoms.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Condom balloons.
I hate how they're going I hate how they're leading us on like it's aliens. But anyhow, it's probably dinosaurs or the Chinese or both, more than likely. So, Meredith's not here. And Alexis was always going to be a guest. But it's just Alexis and I. And I think that I can do a good enough job of overreacting to what I'm hearing from this book. But the point is I have not read the book, right?
I have glanced at work while punched in on the clock.
That is the right thing to do.
And I forced my coworker to listen to me.
And
don't worry, she hasn't called HR yet.
HR Giger?
Yep.
Yep, she has not summoned him from beyond the grave. Yeah. You know that HR Giger stands for, hey, really,
Horny
Giger.
Raptors.
Oh, Horny Raptor Giger. You talked over my real funny joke with an almost as good of one, but I like it. So it's great. That's what counts. We're married, everybody. And it's Valentine's Day, except for we're going to have to except for it's going to have to be tomorrow. That's our dinosaur ring.
Assemble rings. Yours looks like it has like an assemble thing.
It does. Beep. We're cock-docking our jewels.
Oh.
The family jewels!
Alright, shove it in. Okay. So, do you want the name?
Of what?
Okay, I'll give you the name of the girl first.
Okay.
So, this story, the female of this story, I don't know if you would call her a protagonist. Or
is she the main character?
Yeah.
Then she's the protagonist.
She's a very lonely, lonely girl.
Just like everything that Fabio graces the cover of. And by the way, I wish the Allosaurus had a long, flowing Fabio locks.
We might. They talk about
yeah, but it
feathers.
didn't show it on the picture.
Oh, I will tell you. So,
okay.
The girl's name is Tanis. That is the sexiest fucking name.
Trailer Park Tanis.
Her name is Tanis. Okay. So, I'm just
Are you sure it's not Tanis?
No.
It might rhyme with...
Tanis.
Anus!
It's Tanis. Now I just want to call her Tanis. Okay.
Please do that.
So, I don't really know how I want to go upon this. So, Tanis.
Uh-huh.
We'll read the first sentence. Tanis climbed into the biggest barn to watch the dinosaurs.
Why are they in a barn?
I don't know.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
I love that we don't know.
This is the one that I don't like because, it makes me just think she took a dump, on her clothes.
I want to hear more about that.
Her whole body hurt from the grueling day of ranching. There was dirt under her chipped nails and a big brown stain on her blue jeans from where she'd fallen in the mud while milking Dusty, her favorite heifer.
Dusty's a weird name for a lady cow, isn't it?
It means that there's no milk. It has to be that whole really old breast milk joke. Your mom was so old, her breast milk turned to powder.
Oh, because Dusty.
Yeah.
Or like Dusty Springfield.
Maybe it's Trusty Dusty.
Maybe so.
But it doesn't make me think of milk.
I don't know that I like Dusty. Like Dusty Rhodes was a good wrestler, and he was a dude.
To the place the dinosaurs roam. Fuck me good. Okay. Let's see. I don't care about any of this.
Good.
So Tanis's body was tight and lean from 18 years of working alongside her father.
By the way, she is every bit of 18 years old. If you're talking shit about Leonardo DiCaprio, this lady is 1 year younger than his hot Eastern European model wife, which, by the way, Eastern European women compared to women here, it's like 19, that's just, she's only touched her first penis just this last year. I don't know. An Eastern European model who's 19 has killed people. So that's, just so we know. She's already been in 19 pornos and has definitely shot a guy in the face with an AK-47. Anyhow, what is Anus doing?
So she's horny and she works at her family farm. But at the family farm, which I don't know what they're farming. It doesn't say.
Cotton, I'm gonna guess.
Oh.
Let's just see if that plays out, Cotton.
It talks about pollen.
Okay. Oh, they have bees?
It doesn't say. It talks about her boobs, and it talks about how she has her mother's
rack,
generous breasts and backside.
Okay.
But hard labor had crystallized her curves, and they were more severe.
Oh, so they're like, she's like, her mom had tits and an ass, but a big fat Walmart greeter belly. But since this bitch worked for a living, she had all that shit plus abs. So she might, though only 18 and from the Midwest, managed to be hot all the way up until 24 before shit falls apart. That's, no wonder those dinosaurs are coming for her. I'm feeling a twitch. They
have, I don't know how to walk over this, but the dinosaurs work at their farm.
Interesting. Is it because they pay them a lot, do you think?
I don't know. They don't really talk about wages.
Or are the dinosaurs sort of a race of creatures they brought in to work in exchange for perhaps shelter?
Oh.
Rather than wages?
Foothills, farmland in Alberta.
This
Hordes
is in Canada?
of Tyrannosauruses. Let's say her family lived in the biggest barn. Pterodactyls.
Well, I do recall that there was a scene that you'd read to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna... Which one?
Well, it's the one where I figured out...
The name.
What kind of book this was sort of taken from originally. Okay,
so,
all right.
Let me see. I gotta get there.
Okay.
She's just looking at him. She's looking at the fucking
Looking
dinosaur.
at his rippling arms.
They're just looking at some dinosaurs.
Muscled from a day's field work.
Then she saw the leg. Do you want to hear how she first notices him?
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, you get to read.
Where is it?
Start here and go, I don't know, somewhere. Just start there.
She saw the leg. Okay. I shall read. Then she saw the leg. It took Tanus a second to realize what she was looking at. The dark, iridescent feathers shone in so many colors. She would never be able to render them, even if she spent her whole life drawing them with her colored crayons. She followed the tree-thick leg up to its strong hips, wide chest, and finally the glorious saurian head 8 feet above the barn floor. The word came unbidden into her mind, Allosaurus. She whispered it softly. She could barely hear herself. As she looked at his rippling muscles, darkened by the sun, although darkened by the sun of his home continent, and furthermore by all the fieldwork. His eyes were deep green of oceans she had only imagined in her dreams. His cheekbones looked carved from prehistoric cliffs. His feather dew was coiffed in a sexy and hip honky-tonk curl. Interesting choice of words. Perhaps covered by a feathery do-rag. He let a low, deep roar like a tractor coming on after a long winter. His body reminded her of a living lake, the way one move would ripple across his feathers.
Okay.
Now, the way I'm talking might sound like I'm talking in a certain way, but it's foreshadowing to where I would really love to get.
This gets better.
I know it does.
Out. So I'm just going to sum up some of this because it's long.
Please do.
So dinosaurs, like now when they're like born in this time, they get communication devices like wired into them.
Yeah, they get taught English so that they can work.
They can like telepathically talk. So, I'm going to skip down to this part. I've watched you too, Tanis. His mind said into her mind.
Gross.
Then he backed away. He was shy too. He stared down at his clawed feet. Language, thoughts. He was no animal. This was the sentient creature.
No.
He could speak to her, want her. Could he? Okay.
I really want. Okay, and if you're not already catching on to what the framework of this hastily thrown together 5th grade boy romance novel about dinosaurs is being hung on, just they work in the field.
Wait until we get to that line.
And well, no, I think we should preface this a little bit because I think we're already a half hour in. This is a podcast. Look. There's like, and let me say that it has been given away a little bit where it's just like, language, thoughts. These weren't just dumb beasts, but they were real human men with desires. Pa wouldn't like it if I went out into the, you know what I mean? Okay, but like, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Good. Okay. Let's hear it.
I'm going to just skip to like some pieces, but he touched her temple with his talon.
Nice.
She watched his fantasy like a movie projected onto her skull.
That is...
He didn't know whether to eat her or to take her from behind and make her his mate. Okay.
And...
So then he licks her. And then he licks her again. And then they start touching each other and she's like feeling up his feathers. And then she began exploring. And then you hear, Tanis, move! She heard her father shout from behind her.
Yes.
He's,
because he is not in, he would, no daughter of his.
He has a shotgun. He's some fat fucker with a shotgun.
Now you listen here. Yeah.
No, she shouted and leaped in front of the Allosaurus. A shot boomed. This is important.
Yeah.
You need to sidebar this important part.
I will side in our bar.
A shot boomed through her eardrums and into her shoulder. Okay? She went flying back like a sack of potatoes. It actually says flour, but I changed it to potatoes. That is very important, okay?
Yes.
I'm going to tell you that. So anyway, her dad shoots him. Her dad shoots her. She gets shot in the shoulder.
Yes.
Dinosaur hisses. He's pissed. And he, goes to, kill her dad. And she goes, no. And then telepathically, the dinosaur says to her, you would save him? And then she nods, sadly, though. So then he, picks her up and, takes her away. Here we go. This is the important part. Pain burned through her shoulder. He touched her forehead. What do I call you? She asked.
Yes.
Then you can read that part.
We don't really have names, he said, but you can call me Big Al. She repeated the name out loud and telepathically, Big Al. It was so beautiful to her, so simple, she couldn't believe she was here in the field of the dinosaur, her dinosaur, Big Al. See, because his dinosaur name would be hard for her to pronounce. So, I believe that this is where, this little excerpt was originally read to me. That I realized that this piece of dinosaur fan fiction, erotica, whatever you want to call it, not only is weird and gross, but also lazy and amazing, because it's essentially field hand 1800s slave, erotica, just the way it's Pa, no, and it's my name's Big Al. You wouldn't know my real name where I was from. And they're just in a cotton field. And the wild thing is it was right about here that I came up with this idea. And you might go, John, you're reaching. John, you're stretching this a little. You want this to be a fucked up slave erotica dinosaur book because that's just the kind of thing that you enjoy because you're insane. And yes, but the wild part was is as we read on, I did get more and more vindicated, and I hope you will continue listening to this podcast and like and subscribe, because you'll go along with the ride with us again in real time.
So, Tannis had never been naked in front of a man before. Never mind a man dinosaur.
Yes.
And then they have sex.
Gross.
Right now. He traced her breasts, circled her nipples. Let's see, where else are we going? Licked her belly, licked her thigh, licked her ankles. That's fucked up. Her thighs quivered. Yuck. She felt her whole body melt. He grasped her butt with his talons. Ow. Pleasure moved through her in waves, rippling. Here we go. Let's see. Oh, this is funny. This is a good part. It's not funny, but I'll just do. With his tail, he grabbed her around the waist and lifted her up so that she was face to face with him. She held... Oh, hold on. Wait. He held her to his chest.
I don't think an Allosaurus can do that.
Well, apparently they can.
Okay.
She could feel his warmth, which they're cold-blooded, I'm pretty sure. His
They're
power.
birds.
His love. Where else are we looking at? He lowered her onto his sex.
Ew. Oh, so he just like grabbed with like a
She
tentacle.
felt it.
Hey, I think you might
Shut up.
like that. Yeah,
She
all right.
felt it, massive, rubbing against her own wetness.
Yeah, this is...
He slid her up and down. That's the part that I laughed. Slid her up and down.
So he just like tailed her and then is just jacking himself off with her body.
Yeah. That's some dinosaur shit.
Convenient if true.
Oh, wait, hold on.
It's not doing the thing. I wish it was.
Oh, no. This is
Oh, God, yeah. Why wouldn't you listen to this podcast? I guess you could play like the trombone. And be like,
the wrong movie. What is the Jurassic Park one? What's the Jurassic Park one?
I think it goes...
I did the wrong one.
No, you know, it's a holy fucking shit. It's a dinosaur and Jeff Goldblum. He's here.
Okay, great.
Jeff Goldblum is the internet's daddy.
Okay, so they're...
And he fucks a dinosaur.
So they're fucking.
Yep.
And they're fucking... Oh, this is... This is gross.
And he's a slave.
Right there. Read that sentence.
Pain give way.
No, that sentence.
He was churning her insides into a soft, satisfying butter. Yeah. Okay. Look.
Oh, and the dinosaur
I want to
bones.
just point out for the record that my wife is disgusting, and she does not find this attractive, right?
Yeah.
Like she reads the all manner of monsters and gargoyles and tentacle rape and everything I do to her, which is not okay, and all sorts of shit like that. And she, yes, but she looks at this and goes, "Ew." So like
I'm not wanna. As my favorite thing is, I don't want to yuck your yum. Or as my coworker said, wham your yams.
I don't want to wham your yams,
because
but this
she thought
is
that's
fucking
what it was
gross.
saying. Okay, so
it's gross.
They're fucking, and Tannis became lightheaded from the pleasure.
Yeah,
and
her butter churned insides.
And blood loss. Because remember, she got shot.
Oh, she's bleeding out as she gets her insides ravaged into goo.
Even better.
Good.
Okay? I need you to read from...
I can barely read.
Perfect. Okay, so they fuck, he finishes, blah, 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 blah. Okay, right here, down.
I'm so hungry, he communicated, and his thoughts stuttered, hesitant. Go on, Tannis whispered. You can trust me, I love the taste of your blood, he says. His eyes went shy as he said that. Ooh. She felt his vulnerability. She lifted herself up to a seated position and looked down at her body at the wound her father had inflicted on her shoulder, who is apparently not hanging around as she fucks a dinosaur while bleeding out, but whatever.
They ran away.
Her arm, dangled dead and gray. So her arm's just done for.
Yep.
There wasn't any use trying to save it. She knew what to do. She offered her injured arm to his hunger, and she felt the hot pain of his love as he devoured the whole thing. So you love your bits getting shot by your racist paw at your slave allegory dinosaur in the cotton fields of hell. And your arm just hangs by a thread, bleeding out and gray, as a dinosaur churns your guts into butter via the pussy hole and eats that dead arm. And this is just what you're into. And look.
Yep.
I recognize a disingenuous moment when I see one. I know the internet is full of preverts. All of you furries and people that like seeing women blew up like balloons and all the crazy shit on DeviantArt. This dinosaur shit, this was written so this podcast would get made. That's all this shit is. You're like, oh, I hope someone reads this on Valentine's Day. No. Filled with New York strip steak and Manhattan.
I really hope that they reenact it.
When someone gets eaten?
No. Well, that too. Like, people fucking with dinosaur mask and then, like, a Southern Belle. And then they rip off her arm.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's the thing.
Fucked up roleplay.
That would be very exciting and not necessarily in the way I want to jack off to, but just, you know, like, I'm just happy that piece of media would exist, but reading it is like, you're just writing shit for whatever.
They fuck.
Great.
And his feathers apparently create a bandage to, like, save her armhole that he just ate.
But she still only got one arm now, much like the drummer of Death Leopard.
That's fine. So then they run away. The dinosaur is an electrical engineer. And he moved.
Odd that he works in a field.
He moved north because of the tar sands offered him the best salary.
Who? Is that a name?
I don't know. And pussy.
Well, obviously.
So, anyway.
Oh, so they're getting paid.
Oh, this is good, too.
Just a fun way to shit on my very correct theory.
She felt renewed, baptized in sexual awareness.
Gross.
So yeah, they're like holding each other, fucking his sex inflates against her face. That's the other thing. I gotta find where. So I'm gonna.
So he got a sex boner right into her face.
That she wants you completely. They fuck. There's that one point in time that he's like holding her up by her heels, and she like face planted into the earth, and he just like fucks her.
That's called a pile driver. We like, that's a real thing.
We're like, okay. So they're fucking right now. Still, They fucked. Then they ran away to some sanctuary that there's like more dinosaur fuckers. And like some chick comes out to like meet them. And then she says, "Darling, don't worry. It happens to all of us this way." The woman's voice was soft and breathy. And
this is how we all end up in the dinosaur fuckhole?
It doesn't mean he doesn't love you.
Wait, why would she even think that?
She brings...
Does he leave her?
Let's see.
Does he go, hey, I'm in the dinosaur fuck factory now, and you are just an harmless...
He left Tannis unexpectedly.
Okay.
Towards the girl, blah, 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 Tannis, blah, tore off... Oh, what the fuck? Hold on, I didn't read this part. So...
I'm sure most people didn't read lots of it.
Al swung the woman around several times before setting her on the ground. Tannis was about to start walking towards the couple again. Unexpectedly, Al tore off the woman's clothes, lifted her naked body up, and ran with her into a nearby brush.
Cool. So he's like,
Rah! He just like picked up some other chick and was like,
I have to fuck!
And then she was really sad, and that's when the other chick was like, don't worry, it happens to everyone. Doesn't mean he doesn't love you. It's just that love means something different here, something more and better.
Oh, it's about like hot guys that have lots of girlfriends and they just put it on the internet. Yeah, that's exciting.
And so...
Dinosaur slaves, all of them.
She took Tannis's hand, brought her to this lodge, whatever. Buzzing bees, she entered the building. Whatever this place was, it was her home now.
I would just like to say before we move on, and we're about to move on. No, that's great.
It was only two chapters.
This one was called
$2. That's not it.
Okay, what was this one called?
Wet Hot Allosaurus Summer.
Wet Hot Allosaurus Summer. And the thing is, though, is like, you know, that's the first one we found. And that's nowhere near as good as one of the other titles, which I have to share, which is Triceratops and Bottoms. And
okay, but you gotta read the little part after.
I will read the
I
little
gotta
part
find
after.
it.
We're 50 minutes into this bullshit.
We did it.
Yeah, we podcasted. It's
Oh my
great.
god, here. So, wrong dinosaur. Triceratops and bottoms.
Yes.
And it says, she was a time-traveling sexaholic in search of the ultimate dinogasm.
I mean, I love hearing that. I believe you. There it is. Yeah. A time-traveling sexaholic. That's a good premise. This weird, like, cotton farm slave dinosaur allegory is fucked.
This one gets better.
Yeah.
So we're going to read some of the titles.
Okay.
Tyrannosaurus sext. And it says...
but it's like a phone. Like, Tyrannosaurus sext. You can't really see it, but it's SEXT, and it's in a word bubble above him, like a T-Mobile.
On the internet, nobody knows you're an 8-ton Cretaceous carnivore. So this is a shout out to be afraid of what your kids are doing on the internet.
Yeah, it's a shout out.
They might be talking to a fucking dinosaur.
To catch a Jurassic predator.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
Have a seat. Have an ass.
Dude, wait, no. Though, but that would be... Like, it's great where it's like, no one knows you're a dinosaur, but the dinosaurs don't know it's like a 13-year-old girl.
But you know that
like,
they would show up and they would just be like, I don't touch it because my hands are up here. I got a big head and win once.
They'd be like, okay, but why don't you go ahead and have a seat? And then they'd be like, just bite him in half. Yeah, I would, as much as I love the guy that did that show, what's his face, but like, if a dinosaur ate him, that's funny. Like, that's good. I'm not saying that those dinosaurs were right to hit on those young girls, but also them eating the people in the house full of predator catching is hilarious because they were a real predator. That's the joke.
So what would you rate that book?
I would give it a 10 out of 9.
10 out of 9.
Yep, because I have a 9-star. I based it off of Star Trek Deep Space Nine rating thing, and whenever a thing is real good, I give it 10.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I rated a couple nightmares.
No, it's going to be. But here's the problem. There's another book we have to get to. And it's a book about... Well, there's a lot of chapters and there's a lot of people. But at the end of it, there's a man and he comes to Earth. And he teaches us all to love again before ascending to the E.T.
Ooh.
I know, I have ETSD. I shouldn't even joke. I'm not comfortable joking about it around Meredith because she actually will take it too far. If you're listening, Meredith, you like to provoke my ETSD, and that makes you ableist, maybe a rapist. I don't know, something, whatever, an ET. No, I'm just kidding. I don't really care. But here's the thing, and Meredith has never provoked my ETSD except for she has, and. Through text messages and such.
Are you okay?
I'm not. I missed therapy today because it rained too much.
This is your therapy. Except we put very scary things in its place.
This was nowhere near as scary as my normal therapy session, so there's that. But I do want to say this.
Yes.
This book, the last 10 minutes we always dedicate, kind of like the Monday Night Comedy, reading of whichever book that is. There's this book called Dear Asshole. 101 tear-out letters to the morons who muck up your life. And I like how they say muck up instead of fuck up, even though asshole's right in the title of the book. It's like, this thing was just created by people who are in committee. You know what I mean? Like, just people who are like, let's call it Dear Asshole. But asshole, that's funny. But if we say fuck after asshole, people think about fucking assholes, and that's porno. And we can't do that. And whatever. So this is this rotten, awful book that Meredith and I have been trying to figure out whether the humor is ironic. I don't think it is. I think it's like real Karens who think that their actual stance on shit is funny to people and not people going like, wouldn't it be stupid if you actually believe the things that they write in these books? Then you could actually, it's perforated for real, you can see, and tear this shit out and leave it for you got poor service at a restaurant and you're like, what the fuck, I deserve better. And you're like, oh, so you're not on our side.
I have to say one thing.
You fucking bitches.
No, because we just read that book on my Kindle, I got an award for Happy Valentine's Day, the Happily Ever After bookmark.
Great.
Since I read on Valentine's Day a very scary dinosaur porn book, I got this cool bookmark.
And I'm proud of you. And so, but here's the thing. We try to figure out, and more, I don't think that it's intentionally ironic anymore. I think these people are we're like, this is a book deal. I mean, it's blatant cash grab, and I'm guilty of that. But also, like, you know, if I ever got a shot to make a bunch of money off some goof thing, like a glass-blowing reality show or something, I would at least do it unabashedly. I'd be like, I'm into this. This is whatever. It's like, I think these people are actually bad people.
Okay.
So anyway, here is this most recent. They're not numbered, so I don't know how far we've gotten. This might be the 7th or 8th thing or whatever. Most recent tearaway passive-aggressive chapter of Dear Asshole. And I shall read. And I haven't read ahead, so I don't know. I'm passing judgment as I go, which I feel is the most entertaining thing I can do. Dear asshole at the beach, turn off your radio and lower your loud mouth. I'm trying to enjoy the sounds of the ocean, and all I hear is your fat mouth gossiping to the rhythm of really bad techno. Stop shaking your towel in my direction, too. If you get one more grain of sand on me, I'll pay someone to draw a gigantic penis on your back in sunblock. That'd be funny.
It would.
To do to the women who wrote this book. It's 2 women, by the way.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So if you're like, well, you see, and I'm like, do you want to really look under that rock? Oh, man. Persecuted people cannot be Karens. Oh, apparently they can. All right. And for the record, exactly how much food do you have in your cooler, fatphobic? You keep pulling stuff out of that thing like it's a clown car.
You're hungry.
Are you spending a day at the beach or preparing for a nuclear fallout? Signed, Annoyed. P.S. You smell like a rancid coconut. These people...
What the fuck does a rancid coconut smell like?
I don't know.
It's still coconut.
Yeah.
Or someone who just tanned too long.
I think they keep. I think this is like... Okay. So the other one's really smacked of like the white privilege you think that doesn't count when you're a female and you're perhaps not attracted to men, so you're like, I don't have white privilege. You're white as shit. But you're like, oh, I checked these 2 other boxes so I could be racist towards my server and like whatever. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think you're like a bad person that's just absolutely full of shit. This is the first one though, in the checkbox of like on the other column of our research, where it's like, okay, my theory that you said a few funny things once, your dad works for Raytheon and you're in a gated community and as a friend in the book publishing business, and you had a funny, cute idea and you got a book made and whatever. And it's like, you're bad people, but also you're not even that bad. You're just like, but I want to write a book instead of going to work. And it's like, cool, all of us do, but you get to. But you don't have white privilege because you're a couple of women, sure. But yeah, this is the first one where I'm like, oh, this is where you started running out of ideas after like the 7th page, where it's like, dear asshole at the beach. Dude, shut up. Like, yeah, it's like, by the way, it's like
there's
real
too
people.
Much sand on this beach.
This beach is full of sand and other people.
And needles.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna. Oh yeah. Don't. You're so bad. You're so bad, Dawn. It's like I'm gonna leave a note. Oh, she's so bad. She's so bad. Like, oh just God. You fucking bitch. Like, it is. This is like the children of wealthy people. Like, I make fun, right, of like trust fund kids who are just kind of like, you took a sip of my coffee, so you owe me 17 cents, and like, don't make fun of the fact that Like when I accused someone of being like your first job, this was hilarious. Like, was your first job the one you went to college for? And they're like, no. You don't. Okay, listen. I've struggled. I've worked. My dad. Every summer, I helped my dad wash the jet skis. Because they weren't gonna just do it, so I had to earn my own money to pay for my horseback riding lessons. Okay. And I'm just like, oh, look at you, Miss Fancy Pants. You had a dad. And that's just, I got nothing else. That is who wrote this book. And I hope they die.
The Reverend John Wheeler podcast takes zero responsibility for the words, actions, or ideas of its host, guests, or listeners. Though the people on the screen may at times be speaking directly to you and may occasionally give you direct calls to action, neither Reverend John nor the Alchemical Cocktail Lounge are under any moral or legal obligation to answer for the potentially disastrous repercussions that may arise if you are stupid enough to actually follow the orders of a raving lunatic. Think for yourself and do whatever you want, because you're on your own. If anyone ever tries to sue this podcast, black SUVs will converge on your location in the darkness of night and you will never be seen again. Remember to like and subscribe.